Welcome back. It is January 20th, 2022. I'm up here with another live stream, working on another painting here that this January month. I've got this cartoon sort of dragon that I started. When did I start this? Okay, I started this painting last year, and now I'm trying to get it finished. So what's going on with this painting? This is like a two-headed dragon, as you can see. And the problem I have with this dragon is these two heads, I need to make one head more important than the other, and that's going to be this big one. So to do that, I'm just going to go full board. This is the last thing I need to do. I've been putting it off. I didn't do it because it's scary to go full board like this. But I'm going to go full board and really put some bright light on this front head so that it's going to attract the most attention. Now, what else is going on? This is the last live stream of the week for me because I just do Monday through Thursday. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm working on, I'm going to turn the camera on for a few minutes, work on it, talk about it. And I've been discussing this week. I always have like a topic I can at least talk about for a while, and that topic this week has been why all your comic books are going to zero. And this will be the last one. This is part 3 of why all the comic books are going to zero. Before I go into that, I will mention January 29th, which is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, is the Catch Wrestling Workshop out in El Centro. If you want to go, you can still register. I've got all the screens set up. Everything's ready. I'm going to be printing those shirts this weekend. So if you get registered, in the next day or two, you can still get the free t-shirt. I'll still have you. I'm going to print them up on Saturday, so I'll be hitting Sunny up at the end of the day tomorrow for a head count on how many shirts that I'm going to have to make. And then that'll be it. Then I'll be making those shirts, and we'll be on our way. So that's coming up. Other than that, I will also be in Temecula the next weekend after that, January, I think 3rd and 4th, or February 3rd and 4th for the historic medieval national champ battles, the national championships, and I'll be a vendor at that event. I'll have all kinds of cool stuff that you've never seen online before up for sale, peddling my wares to the many fans of medieval fighting. Now, let's get down to in the words of Nacho Libre, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So, the third thing, the last thing I'll talk about is one of the theories that comes up often, and this is more common among sports cards collectors than collectors of comic books, and that is that they'll have this speculative idea or belief that the big money funds, the big Wall Street hedge funds, investment firms and such are going to come in and buy and start buying up all these collectibles, and that's going to cause the price to drive upwards. And commonly you'll hear the theory something along the lines of, especially in like baseball cards and stuff, they'll be like, well, these big hedge funds, these big money funds, they've taken notice of these new, record-breaking prices that people are getting for their collectibles. And with third-party graders, which means in sports cards has been doing this longer than comic books, where you can send your collectible in to a company that will then look at it and grade it and then encapsulate it and send it back to you. That takes out some of the risks. They believe it takes out some of the subjectivity. When the reality is, it's still subjective. It's still the subjective opinion of the person that graded it. And there's a lot of kayfabe involved with that process. One of the major things being is they use a 10-point system. So it'll get a score of 1 to 10. Any kind of collectible gets a score of 1 to 10, and then it's a point of that number. So you could get like a 1.5, you could get a 5.5, an 8.9. And the reason why there's some kind of kayfabe around that is because, you know, somebody grades something and say it's in mint condition, and they say this is a 9.6, and then they'll say, oh, this is a 9.8, and then this is a 9.9, which they reserve for, I don't know, something that's like flawless. The reality is that, you know, the human eye cannot detect the difference between a 9.8 and a 9.7. What is the difference between those two grades? Are they taking a microscope to this thing? Are they looking at under a magnifying glass? It's still very much a subjective process. Now, that's on the side. Let's get back to the main matter that's at hand, which is why I don't believe that these big money funds are going to go into these collectibles. And the reason is simple. They are just simply not worth enough for it to be worth it, for it to be worth their time to look at. Now, let me give you an example. The most expensive, you know, sports cards have sold for more than comic books on the collector's market. The most expensive sports card is, what's that guy's name? Honus Wagner or something like that. I mean, he's like some 1800s baseball player. Anyway, it's something like that, and his card sold for like $6.5 million, which is a lot of money. But you have to understand that there's different levels to this thing. And if you're running a fund, man, if you're running a hedge fund, wipe that off and try that again. And let's say, so a small money fund is between $10 million and $50 million on Wall Street, okay? That's considered, you know, a small fund. Now, average size would be like 100 million to a mid-sized fund would be or investment firm or whatnot would be 100 million to 500 million, and then 500 million and more is considered big, like a big money fund. And I think the average size is around 600 million, and then when you get into like $1 billion funds, now you're like, no, that's massive. You're a huge fund. So here's what you have to understand about this. Let's say you have $500 million. Let's say you have $200 million that you need to invest, and you want to get a return on this $200 million. Okay, understand that if you have $1 billion and you get a 20% return on $1 billion, you just made $200 million. Okay. If you have 100 million, and you get a 10% return on 100 million, that's $10 million that you're going to get back off that 100 mil. And you've got all these people's money, and you're trying to beat the market, and you've got to get a return on all this money that you've got. That's the game. That's the game. So if you find, there is no comic book that's worth, that's fetched $5 million or $6 million. But even if there was, let's say there's a comic book that just achieved $6 million. Well, what are you going to do? And you're a $100 million fund, and you put $6 million into this book, and let's say you do really well and you do 100% on that investment over the next year, which that's very that would be like incredible. You probably, it would probably take several years to get 100% on like some $6 million collectible, for it to fetch $12 million from another collector or at auction or whatever. But let's say it happens in 1 year. You get 12 million for it. Your $100 million fund, okay, that's a gain of 6 million. So you didn't even compound your money. You didn't even grow it by 10%. That's not even a 10% gain on all the money that you have to invest. And so that is the reason why I don't believe that big money and big hedge funds and big investment firms are going to come in and start buying up comic books and collectibles and stuff, because the money is just not big enough. Warren Buffett has said that he won't even look at an investment unless he can put at least $100 million into it. And I think he even said $200 million now, that it's like, unless he can put $200 million into an investment, it's not even worth his time to look at it. Because even if it does really great, it's not going to be enough to move the needle on his portfolio, on all the money that he's trying to get a return on. And this is something that people are unaware of this, that the game changes when you go from small money to big money. And when you go from something like, you've got less than $50 million, okay, you could buy a sports car, but why would you do that? Like, that's going to be very risky. The other thing is these collectibles are taxed at 28% long term. So you're going to have to pay more in taxes on those things too. And that's basically it. So I don't know if I have another point to make about that one. Let me clean this brush off. So I need to add some more light to this so it looks a little more consistent. All right, so yeah, that's basically it. That's why I don't think that these big money funds are going to move into sports card collectibles and comic books and such, because it's just the money is still too small there. You can't get if you've in a situation where you've got hundreds of millions of dollars that you need to get a return on. Even if you just do 5% on $100 million, that's $5 million. But if you do, if you put in, you buy a $3 million comic book, and then you're lucky and you somehow make $3 million on it, that's only 3% of your whole $100 million portfolio. So you've barely, I don't even know if you beat the market at that point. You may not have even beat the market. You wouldn't even to this year, you wouldn't even beat inflation. Okay. You'd be just keeping up with it, maybe. So yeah, that's it. That's the third reason why all your comic books are going to zero, is because all of the speculation that the big Wall Street funds, the big money hedge funds are going to come in and start buying these collectibles. My assessment is no, it's not going to happen. There's better things they can put their money into, and they're not going to do it. So what else? There's a lot of other theories. There's other things I can talk about, but I think this week I beat the whole comic book thing to death, and I'm going to have a new topic of discussion next week. I think I'm going to talk about karate next week, and I think that's what I'm going to talk about is karate. I could discuss other investment ideas. I could other investment things, speculative things, markets, cryptocurrencies, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on to talk about that I find interesting, and I'll get to all of that at some point. So that's it for today. I'm going to end this stream now. Yeah, this thing is looking really inconsistent up here at this eye. Let me just kind of see if I can fix this a little bit. Massage this up here. Because I just want this side of the head, I want to look like the light is coming in. It's hitting the side of this dragon's face. It's lighting it up. And there we go. And so I'm just kind of glazing this oil paint onto here, hoping that I can make this part of this guy a little bit more important than this head, so that this head's darker and this head is going to be brighter, and therefore you'll look at this head first and then look at that head, and there'll be more of a trajectory, I guess you could say, a trajectory, I don't know, to this painting. Man, I'm tired today. It's like kind of the end of the week for me here. My neck got jacked, sleeping weird and stuff. But it's all good. I don't care. I'm fine. All right, I'm out of here. I will see you all on the next one.